Debt doesn't just take your money, it takes your mind. Because at first, it doesn't feel dangerous. It feels manageable. Just a small amount, just something temporary, something you'll fix later. That's how it begins, not with panic, but with confidence. You tell yourself, I'll handle it. I just need time. This is not a big deal. And for a while, it really doesn't feel like one. You live your life. You ignore it. You push it to the side. But slowly, something changes. You start thinking about it more, not constantly, just enough to feel uncomfortable. A quiet pressure. In the background, always there. And then one day, it's no longer in the background. It's everywhere. You wake up, and it's the first thing you think about. You go to sleep, and it's the last thing on your mind. And suddenly, it's not about money anymore. It's about control, or rather, the feeling that you lost it. Because debt creates something very specific. Not just stress, but pressure without escape. A constant weight that doesn't go away. And the worst part? You can't just ignore it, but you also don't know how to fix it. So what do most people do? They avoid it. They stop checking their accounts. They delay payments. They tell themselves, I'll deal with it tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Because the more you avoid it, the bigger it becomes. And the bigger it becomes, the harder it is to face. And now you're stuck. Not because you can't fix it, but because you don't know where to start. And that feeling is what breaks people. Because it creates a loop. Stress to avoidance to more stress. And over time, that loop changes you. You become more anxious, more tired, more disconnected. Things you used to enjoy don't feel the same anymore. Because there's always something in the back of your mind, something unresolved, something waiting. And no matter what you do, you can't fully relax. Even when you're with people, even when you're supposed to be happy, because part of you is always somewhere else, thinking, calculating, worrying. And then comes something even worse. Shame. Because debt feels personal. It feels like failure, like you did something wrong, like you should have known better. So you hide it. You don't talk about it. You keep it to yourself. And that silence makes it heavier. Because now it's not just a problem. It's your problem. And you carry it alone. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Debt doesn't grow just because of money. It grows because of behavior. Because of small decisions. Repeated over time. Ignoring. Delaying. Hoping it will somehow resolve itself. But it doesn't. It compounds, just like interest. And the longer you wait, the worse it gets. And this is where people start to panic. They try to fix everything at once. Find quick solutions, take more risks. Sometimes they make it worse. Because they're not thinking clearly anymore. They're reacting, trying to escape the pressure. But pressure doesn't disappear like that. It needs to be faced, slowly, uncomfortably, honestly. And that's the part most people avoid. Because facing it means accepting reality, seeing the numbers, seeing the damage, seeing the truth, without filters, without excuses. And that moment is terrifying. But it's also the only moment where things can actually change. Because you can't fix what you refuse to look at. And this is where the shift happens. Not when the debt disappears, but when you stop running from it. When you sit down and face it fully. Even if it feels overwhelming. Even if it feels too late. Because it's not. It just feels like it is. And here's something important. Debt doesn't define you. But how you deal with it does. Because there are two paths. One is avoidance, denial, waiting, hoping, and slowly losing control. The other is acceptance, action, responsibility, and rebuilding. Not instantly, not perfectly, but consistently. And consistency is something debt tries to destroy because it pushes you into extremes, panic, impulsiveness, desperation. But the way out is the opposite. Calm, structure, discipline, small steps, again and again, even when it feels pointless, even when progress is slow, because slow progress is still progress. And this is where most people fail. They expect a quick fix, a breakthrough, a moment where everything changes. But that moment doesn't exist. What exists is repetition, doing the right thing over and over again, until things start to stabilize. And eventually, you feel something different. Not relief, not yet, but control. A small sense that you're not drowning anymore, that you're moving, even if it's slow. And that's when everything shifts, because now you're no longer escaping the problem. You're solving it. And that changes how you think, how you feel, how you act. And maybe for the first time, you're not controlled by debt. You're controlling your response to it. And that is where real change begins.